In 2015 in America, a trial is underway against former CIA employee Jeffrey Sterling. The accusation is serious: espionage. The investigation claims that 13 years ago, Agent Sterling deliberately leaked information about a secret government mission.
It was a complex case. The investigation has been going on for 4 years, but there was no direct evidence against Sterling.
The case was about Iran and nuclear weapons, but it was only the culmination of a years-long espionage story.
The CIA operation, called Merilin, had a different fate.
But it was told in a book that could be bought in any store in 2006. Journalist James Risen released a book called State of War, where readers were surprised to learn that the Central Intelligence Agency, using taxpayers' money, attempted a clever maneuver to stop Iran's nuclear program but ended up clumsily giving Iranian scientists the key to building a bomb. It sounds like the plot of a dumb comedy or a conspiracy tale, but wait. The author of the book, James Risen, isn't some urban lunatic or conspiracy theorist, but a Pulitzer Prize laureate. The Pulitzer is the most prestigious award for journalists, awarded for outstanding achievements in serious journalistic investigations. And Risen managed to receive it not once, but twice.
But let's go back to the beginning of the story.
Let's rewind 10 years ago. So, it's 1996. The USA is concerned that Iran is actively working on its nuclear program and is trying to figure out how to stop them. When someone first voiced the idea, let's give Iran the drawings, but not accurate ones, with mistakes so that they assemble a bomb that doesn't explode.
Interesting, but how do we make Iran believe we didn't deceive them? It's a good question.
Such a plan had a name, and that name was James Pavitt, a good friend of the new CIA director who was fervently committed to fighting the spread of nuclear weapons. For this purpose, he lobbied for the creation of a new CIA department and became its leader. The task of the new department was to independently gather intelligence on potential threats and prevent weapons from falling into the hands of America's enemies. To prove the necessity and importance of the new department, they urgently needed to find a strong enemy that could be easily defeated, and Iran turned out to be that enemy. Just a couple of years ago, they announced that with the help of Russian specialists, they would build a nuclear power plant, which wasn't far from building a bomb. Something had to be done about it urgently.
In general, Pavitt took on the task. First of all, the CIA found a Russian physicist immigrant who was decided to be hired as a seller of the drawings.
The name of this scientist remained undisclosed. We only know him by the codename Merilin.
It's known that he worked on a nuclear project.
In the closed city of Arzamas-16, they found drawings of the Soviet launching installation TBA-480. Naturally, for the plan's credibility, the Russian physicist had to attempt to sell Soviet developments, not American ones. In general, everything started spinning. Merilin began spamming Iranian officials and offering to buy a bomb.
Everything was going according to plan, but there was just one small problem. Iran didn't actually have a nuclear weapons program at the time.
At the end of 1999, Pavitt began pushing the Merilin operation in the White House, saying, "We have every reason to believe that Iran is creating a bomb. We need to do something about it." But as I mentioned, the only compelling reason to believe this was Pavitt's conviction. He thought that if they gave the Iranians the drawings, they would immediately ask for modifications, which would then allow them to be caught red-handed and accused of weapon preparations. The green light from the president was received, and the operation entered the active phase.
But not everything went smoothly. Most likely, Merilin began to think that the cold responses from the Iranians were actually a sign that they were being taken seriously by Iranian agencies. But there was another important point.
The drawings were flawed. Everything was going well until the agents went to San Francisco to hand over the documents to the physicist. But being a physicist, he only needed one look at the documents to see fatal mistakes. When he tried to point this out to the CIA, they brushed him off and claimed it couldn't be. Our best specialists checked the drawings. Everything was clear to them. But for some reason, Merilin wasn't satisfied. He spent several days with the drawings, found all the mistakes himself, even the critical ones without which the device wouldn't work. He kept writing to the CIA saying, "Guys, you gave me a meaningless set of sticks and dots. Even a child would understand that you're trying to cheat him." Eventually, the CIA realized they couldn't hide the truth anymore. So, they finally told him that there were indeed mistakes in the drawings, but it was all part of a clever plan. They weren't planning to give the real drawings to Iran.
But the twist is elsewhere. Where did the CIA even get the drawings of the Soviet nuclear detonator in the first place? Okay, it's logically from another physicist who handed them over several years ago, but problem is that the drawings were incomplete back then. But no one in the CIA noticed. In a sense, they decided to spoil an already spoiled document. And Merilin, who was supposed to be just a courier, knew how to fix everything.
Plus, he pointed out another important problem. Why were the Soviet drawings in English? Do you think we in the USSR purposely made them in English so that it would be more convenient for the CIA to sell them right away? Or what? Maybe rewrite them?
In general, the more Merilin understood what he had gotten himself into, the more he began to think that it wouldn't end well for him.
He was sure that the Iranians, upon meeting, would immediately notice the flaws in the documents, decide that he was trying to deceive them, and bury him somewhere in the woods. Additionally, he began to doubt the wisdom of using his real name in the correspondence because it was real to them. But the position in Arzamas 16 they came up with was fake. He did work there at one time, but not in the capacity he was trying to convince Iran of. In January 2000, Merilin even threatened to resign. But after negotiations, the physicist was eventually persuaded to stay. He was assured that the mission was almost over. All that was left was a small part, to fly to Austria and hand over the documents to the Iranian mission. And we'll pay you $60,000 for this little business trip. That settled it. And in 2000, Merilin, clutching the secret drawings, flew to Vienna, where the main office of the International Atomic Energy Agency is located. Iranian officials were supposed to be waiting for him there, finally agreeing to meet the mysterious Russian. All Merilin needed to do was to arrive at the office, talk to the Iranians, hand over the documents, and get back to America as soon as possible. But the closer the operation day came, the more our scientists feared he would be exposed.
So he decided to play it safe and attach a note to the documents where he corrected all the mistakes in the drawings and indicated what crucial details were missing.
Without which these documents were just meaningless papers. In short, he put an end to all the secret operations in one stroke. Years later, at one of the court hearings, the CIA will recount that they themselves suggested to Merilin to correct the mistakes in the drawings, so to speak, for credibility. But it's hard to believe. Anyway, Merilin did fly to Vienna, but instead of staying one day, he stayed 3. He continued to fear meeting with the Iranians, and only on the 3rd day did Merilin make it to the office. But at the last moment, he chickened out again. So instead of knocking on the door, he just threw the documents into the mailbox and fled. Well, at least that's something, thought the CIA. And with relief, they started celebrating the success even more. They believed that the Iranians had taken the bait when their intelligence reported that the documents had been safely sent to Iran. We did it, thought the CIA. Let's use the same scheme with other countries now. For some reason, they thought it was obvious that Iran would soon analyze the drawings and contact Merilin to clarify the mistakes.
But time passed, and there was no reaction from Iran. Still, the CIA was confident that they would contact them anyway.
A year went by, and there was still no news. Moreover, a new report came from Iran's intelligence, stating that there was no nuclear weapons development there. But do you think the person who came up with this whole operation admitted his mistake? No. Director Pavitt continued to believe in success despite all the reports and analytics. We just need to wait a little longer, he said. It's already 2005, and reports from Iran indicate that there is solid evidence that there is no nuclear bomb there. But you know what? The management was still not convinced. Moreover, they tried to suppress this report, and the agent who provided the data from Iran was recalled and fired. And this is no joke. This is how spy games are usually portrayed in movies between intelligence agencies. There are 2 powerful organizations weaving complex intrigues, planning every move, playing cat and mouse. And in this game, one side is the CIA, which spent several years and a lot of money developing the operation, and on the other side is Iran, which simply ignored all the CIA's efforts.
It didn't go well, but not completely.
Because Iran did make attempts to create a bomb. Read about Project Ahmad, for example. But these attempts led to nothing, and the project lasted only 3 years before being abandoned.
Sorry, but we digressed. Let's get back to our Merilin.
After the drawings ended up in Iran's hands, Several years passed without anything interesting happening. That is, the operation seemed to officially continue, but what to do with it was completely unclear.
Anyway, maybe after some time, they quickly closed it and tried to forget about it.
But in 2003, the US Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice received a call from the editor-in-chief of the New York Times. The editor said that a well-known journalist had come to him with very interesting secret documents. "How do you comment on this?" he asked. She was shocked and demanded an explanation from the CIA about what the hell was going on there and begged the newspaper not to publish the article yet. As you probably understand, that journalist was James Risen. They managed to persuade him not to publish the article because it could jeopardize the lives of CIA agents. Risen agreed, but on one condition. He would still tell the whole truth, just not now, but in 3 years, and he kept his word. In 2006, the book State of War became a bestseller.